Welcome, people of the World Wide Web. So it's the weekend, and what have I got for everybody? So as the top say, movie review, and it is of Barbie. So the hype's been out there. My wife has been intrigued to see it. A few of my friends have watched it and said they liked it. So this week, my wife was a little under the weather. I had a day evening free, so I went to see Barbie to see what all the fuss was about. So anybody going to watch it, if they pardon me, there's no after the credits scene or anything like that. They're not building up a franchise as far as I'm aware. But this is the story of Margot Robbie, who plays Barbie. She is one of many Barbies. Obviously they live in a Barbie world, which is literally like a human depiction of the toys and stuff. So obviously they don't have, like they pick up a cup, there's nothing in it and stuff, like water comes out of showers and stuff like this, and this is how it is. Over a small period of time she realizes that something isn't right, and that's when they realize that basically every Barbie has a connection to the person playing with them. Obviously the person that she's connecting with in the human world is causing like an instability, and this is why that Margot Robbie Barbie is having issues, and she has to travel to the real world, and off she goes. Obviously Ken, who plays her love interest, loves her deeply, and his only job in Barbie land is kind of to try and be her boyfriend. Very much played as the Kens are the minority. There is also Michael Cera-Allen, which I thought was quite good. And yeah, a lot of them depict different types of Barbie and Ken and stuff, and it's very much Barbie's rule the Barbie world, and Kens are a few and far between, who are just there for kind of a little bit of eye candy to try and be macho or do very specific jobs, which is obviously playing to a stereotype behind the scenes kind of. Barbie goes to the real world, finds the person that's interacting with her, takes her back to Barbie world, and then they try and correct it. Obviously things that don't always go as planned. Obviously Mattel, run by Will Ferrell, obviously trying to get hold of her, and then obviously they sort stuff out. That is basically that is basically the whole synopsis of the movie. And then obviously it's all about the journey getting there and all the in-betweens and the different actors and actresses who appear and star in it, blah 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 blah. And overall I thought it was alright. I would probably class this as a good movie. Personally, I want to think it's a great movie. I wouldn't necessarily. It was probably because of a lot of outside factors to the movie of people wanting to go see the fact it's Barbie, and that is why it's made so much money. But I mean, I think there have been 53 movies that have made $1 billion. And if I look at the caliber of that movie and what the story it's telling and everything, I would rate this in the lower section, quite probably lower. Not saying it's a bad film or anything, not saying it's trying to tell a story, but just for me, there are a lot of films I've seen and watched recently and in the past who I would class far better than this one, but due to obvious reasons for people loving Barbie and dragging their boyfriends, it seems to be a trend and stuff, has obviously made this make a lot of money. So let's put the spoiler warning up and we shall get into it. So obviously as the movie starts, we are in Barbie land. Margot Robbie is Barbie. She is the perfect Barbie to go around, and they're talking to all the different Barbies. It throws you off for you people who aren't expecting it, because you don't realise that Margot Robbie's human depiction of Barbie, it is literally, like I say, like you see in the trailer, she floats down from a house, it's fine, like she goes into the shower, nothing comes out, it's all kind of the perfect kind of stereotype doll, but transitioned into a realistic view. Obviously before that is that there is a Space Odyssey kind of little nod in the beginning of just explaining, the whole film starts off with explaining Barbie. And then she's interacting with all of them. Obviously Ken is a little bit of an idiot. His job is beach, and they tried to throw a few jokes in. To be honest, in the trailers, and I just didn't think that worked. This film is very much, it has a lot going for it. There are a few funny moments. There are just as many non-funny moments as there are funny moments in my eyes. There was a few other blokes in there, but not many. It was mainly women and kids, and I say it was mixed laughing here, there, and everywhere. So obviously stuff in here, it wasn't laugh out loud. Anyway, obviously Barbie starts to have issues when she starts talking about death and stuff like this, scaring other people that she has to go see the crazy Barbie, which is Kate McKinnon. And then she goes to the real world and Ken tags along. It's in this real world that basically Barbie finds the person that she's looking for, which she thinks it's a young girl, but it's actually a mother, which is kind of foreshadowed and kind of very obvious as you see this little girl, but they blatantly obscure her mum's face, so you don't know who it is until probably like 20 minutes later, because they reveal it quite quickly. But to me it was quite obvious because there's no one really else in the film that kind of matches the lady who played Ugly Betty. America Ferrera is her name, I think. So anyway, obviously she comes across that when they're in the real world, it's very different. So this is where there is people have rated, obviously this is degrading and stuff to men and stuff. They have gone for a kind of massive stereotype in this. So in Barbie world, the women rule, the men are just there, as I say, for eye candy and a few other little bits, but they don't really do a lot. Women run everything. In the real world, it is 180. Literally every depiction and scene they show, it's men working, men running companies. There's even a secretary, but the secretary gets dismissed of not seeing there. The America Ferrera, she is a receptionist who you can see she's not really they don't really mention any interaction with anyone else and stuff, and that's how it is. It's like Barbie world, it's women rule, men are second class. In real world, men rule and second class, and I don't think that's an actual accurate description or depiction of the real world. I think for Barbie, this is just how they want it in their kind of fiction, real life fiction world. They go to extremes. It's a film, don't get too caught up on it. It didn't bother me too much either which way. So yeah, anyway, so they go to the real world. Ken realises that men dominance. He goes back to Barbie's land, and Barbie obviously finds the woman there and brings her back with her daughter to try and get them two to sync up to kind of real. As they get back, all the Kens have taken over, and then it is a kind of mission of Barbie trying to overthrow the Kens, and there's a big kind of silly battle and stuff like this. Some of it was good. It turns a bit into a musical, which was all right. Some of the songs are catchy, but it is a little bit haphazard, I feel. The story is classed of Barbie, and Barbie going to the real world and finding this woman, and basically when she brings her back to the Barbie world to sort her out, she's put in a situation where America Ferrera realises that she kind of has to stand up and say a point. What she says unscrambles the minds of the Barbies who have been kind of hypnotised by the Kens, and that's her role. And as it's going on, like, they make her and her daughter, but this whole kind of Barbie and the real life one, they're trying to make a connection. I feel thrown in Ken and everything kind of dilutes that a little bit, saying that obviously this woman in the real life is having problems, I bring her back to Barbie world and then she has to step up and do it. Yes, it kind of is empowering, but she empowers just by what she says, and that magically changes everything. And yes, it probably works in a fantasy world, but I was just a bit like, oh, it's a bit weird. And like, her daughter is very against like a lot of stuff. She's very serious in real magic. She goes to Barbie world and she's like Play-Doh, and just anything that happens around her, she kind of softens and merges and stuff. And I was a bit like, I felt that kind of, it looked like that was going to be the main story, and then they kind of dwindled it to the second story to have more on with the Ken side of thing. I say the Ken story is a little bit here, I say it makes sense, and I say it is from beginning to end, it does make sense. I say they throw a few things just to be a bit flashy with the dancing and stuff and the fighting, but Barbie's rule up, and then there's kind of we don't want to be a total Barbie dominated Barbie land. We'll have some of the Kens in, but only minority jobs, which again is still kind of adding on the hierarchy of women rule and men are second class, so to speak. But as I say, it's a film of fiction. It was all right, and then Barbie decides that she doesn't want to be a Barbie. She wants to go to the real world, and then she goes to the real world, and then ends up going to the gynecologist at the end, which I thought for a lot of people would be like, they probably wouldn't even get that reference. I didn't find it funny. No one in my movie even found it funny. And this is where I was saying there are someone. The president drops I think an F-bomb near the end, which I thought was really funny. There's a few bits like that. I was like, I wish it had maybe been a little bit more of an adult comedy thrown in with maybe a story of her connecting with a real life person, and maybe just Ken didn't need to have as much as a forefront as he did, in my opinion. And that's not being like a feminist or something, that's just saying I thought it would have been a better story. But by the by, so I gave this movie 6 out of 10. I was debating 5.5, 6. Like, it is a fun movie. It is sit there enjoyable to watch. I say, getting over the reality, obviously Barbie's work and act like Barbie's in the first bit throws you off a little bit. It got more enjoyable as you got into the real world. I didn't think, you've seen a lot of some of the funny stuff in the trailer, so some of the jokes didn't land. It isn't the greatest movie. It's a kind of crowd pleaser. They've done stuff to feed the audience and tick a few boxes and stuff like this, and that's about the gist of it. As I said, if I rated it on the 53 movies that have earned $1 billion, this would be very low. I know there's a lot of stuff like Frozen and other stuff who appeal to young girls and stuff like that, and this might appeal to it, and that might be there. Maybe I'm the wrong audience for it, and that's why I don't rate it as high. It's worth a watch. My wife wants to see it, so I may end up picking it there. I'm on the fence about picking it up and collecting. I do like Margot Robbie and stuff, and say Helen Mirren is the narrator, and she narrates there's a few funny bits in there that she says. Again, it's only the odd comment that hits, and she's a narrator, but she doesn't rate too much of it. And it's just a little bit like, I think it needed a bit more constant of there. I get there are two worlds and stuff, but I think trying to be a little bit serious or having a connection and then going to music and stuff, I think throws off the whole theme of the film a little bit. But anyway, that has been my review for the movie Barbie. Have you seen the movie? Do you like it? Did you not like it? Did you disagree with me? Is there anything I missed? Please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I've been Suffer Sigma. Hope you enjoyed this movie review, and I'll be back soon with the next video.